Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Career Hacking Podcast. Our guest today is Lyn, who works in events, and we met at a networking event. I think it was like a month and a bit ago now, and it was really exciting, an amazing event. I also met one of my previous guests there as well, so it was absolutely brilliant to network, and I got to meet the amazing Lyn. So we're just going to get started, and if you can just tell us a bit about yourself, Lyn. Who are you? What do you do? That'd just be amazing.
Hi Hannah. Thank you so much, first of all, for having me on. And I was just over the moon when you asked me a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it now? I think we met and we just hit it off. And, you said, would I like to come on your podcast? This is my very first. So I'm really excited to have this opportunity. So, yeah, I'm really, really pleased to be here.
I'm excited to have you on the podcast as well. I think we're going to have such a good conversation today. So I think to get started then, right, let's dive right in and just tell us a little bit about what it is that you do like on your day to day. What is your job? What's your role? Do you have your own business? Like if you just want to tell us, yeah, that's what you do.
And I organise an events company. I've been going for 10 years now, and it's called The Edge Events. And it basically started out through the fact that I've always had a real passion for doing these seamless events. I was in Alderley Edge with some friends, and a few of the friends were having dinner, said, look, I said, I really want to set up an events company, as you do. And they said, well, you can do this. So I thought, okay. So I wrote down the name, The Edge Events, and it stuck. And it's been it's actually worked in my favour, because a lot of people think I'm in Alderley Edge, which I'm not. I'm in Manchester. But a lot of people connected me with Cheshire. So I then set up the company and fast track. I've done numerous events, red carpet events, but I started off doing my own event to promote myself. And I ended up working with a lot of the Cheshire set. And so I've done a lot of, you kind of product launches for restaurants and bars, launch parties, everything in between. I do PR campaigns, influencer brunches. And alongside of that, I got offered a ladies who lunch for a client. And that led to the Women in Business Brunch Club, which I now run alongside as the sister company to the Edge Events. So that's in a really, really exciting time of growth. It's been like 7 years now with that as well. So, yeah.
So with the Edge events then, can you tell us a bit more about that and how that operates now? It's great to hear about like its origin story, but what kind of events do you run specifically for that?
So as I've mentioned, I organise events. I guess, when I started out, I came from a kind of work. I've always left, like from leaving school, just straight into a working life, into fashion, into kind of sales and marketing background. And then I've just had a real passion. And how this happened is I was going to lots of events where I just thought, I can do that better. And I can, and that's missing that attention to detail. And, they're missing a little bit of that hospitality feel about it. And I just had such a real something inside me, just like this hunger to really do this, and just felt like a natural thing to do. And I basically, I just kind of, at the time, I remember saying to my mum, I'm going to set up an events company. She was like, no, you get real, get a proper job, how are you going to do it? I said, I will, watch me kind of thing. And I just did it with a laptop, just created the name. And then I just put myself out there. And what I found is I did approach other companies to work for them and to really get the experience and get kind of into it that way. And I was just getting a lot of knockbacks all the time. And I thought, well, do you know what? I'm going to create my own luck. Sometimes you have to really take that and run with it and create your own luck in life. So I started off with a massive charity event. We had celebrities, and I offered my help, and in a way of like completely for free. There was no payment involved. I built up my portfolio that way. It was really a lot of hard work, but very rewarding, should I say. And then I decided to do my own PR party. And that was like, I think it was like 2013. It was, yeah, about nearly 10 years ago now. And 250 guests came. It was like a Sunday afternoon, and we had like Asian Provocateur came, and the King Street Townhouse, and it was a few of the women from there came along, and we had a sax player, and it was just a brilliant atmosphere and vibe. And that was when I knew I had something, and I then was able to add the promotional video with the other charity event that I did, and that kind of and words, people started talking, who is Lyn from the Edge event? And then I started to get bookings, and I got offered like launch parties for restaurants. So a lot of my events have been for restaurants and bars, and I kind of fell into it that way with hospitality rather than weddings, if I'm honest with you. So it kind of became a natural progression for me.
I love to hear like the origin story of Edge events, and it sounds so great. It sounds amazing that that's how it came about, and that, like you said, you've gone down your own path and you've had to essentially, I like that phrase, make your own luck, and you've made your own opportunities, because it is hard sometimes if you're applying for jobs or if you're applying for opportunities, especially in maybe a field you haven't been in before. You will get knocked back constantly, and it's so hard to break into. If someone's in that kind of situation at the moment and they're thinking, okay, I want to branch out into this new like industry or something a bit different, or create their own business, kind of following in your footsteps, how would you advise they do that if they're just being knocked back all the time? How do they stay resilient?
Yeah.
What advice would you give?
I would always recommend to work your way up within the company. I mean, I'm just, again, I've always been stubborn. I've always done things the hard way and my way. And I think I have done it. I've been on the opposite side where I have been, like business development for a restaurant bar. And I did that for quite a while, kind of like getting there in that way. And it's very different. It's very different on the other side of hospitality, to be honest. So that's one thing I would suggest is really get that under your belt. Go in with a company if you can. Obviously, I'm a strong believer that nothing is impossible. The word itself, it's possible, right? So, and with the right attitude and the right mental mindset, I think you can have that belief in yourself. So, if you're someone that have like me has had knockbacks, then I would suggest do things for free to get yourself started. Don't feel precious to feel like, right, well, I'm going to charge this, because how are you going to build your portfolio up? And also have a plan B. I mean, I'm saying I did do this, but have something. I didn't really have the finances, the funding behind me. I didn't have anyone supporting me, to be honest with you. But I would recommend to have a job. I did at one point. I was working, doing something full time. I was coming home at midnight, booting my laptop up, and working on my own company. So if you can, you will find at the beginning there's a lot of hard work, and it's a balance of, you will have to make those sacrifices to get to where you are. It just doesn't fall in your lap, unfortunately. So that would be my advice.
That's really valuable as well to hear that it's kind of perseverance with the hard work, which I think it's so true. But sometimes it's just reassuring to hear that when you might have a full-time job and you're trying something else, or you're trying to build a business, it's going to be hard at first, and then you just got to keep pushing through that. So I think that's really reassuring for people to hear. Even myself, I think it's just like, it's really inspirational, your story. And I did want to ask as well, so we've asked about the Edge events. So can you tell us a bit about the Women in Business brunch events as well, and how they differ and what they offer too?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question again. So, you're so good at this, Hannah. But so I love the Women in Business brunch club. It's really grown arms and legs, and it's kind of becoming a whole, it's just giving life to for so many women out there. And how that happened, as I mentioned earlier, is I was organising several events for a restaurant bar, and one of the things they wanted to focus on was women, bringing more women in, and so we called it Ladies Who Lunch, and the women came in their droves. We had a full to capacity venue, people coming in limos from like Cheshire, and this was at a local restaurant right near to where I live. And we had a sax player, and we had pink gin, and it was a really great vibe. And we had brands who came with their jewelry and beauty or skincare with their pop-ups, and it was a really good way to bring like-minded other women together and really have that support network for each other. And that led me to do what I'm doing now, because a few of the women following that event did approach me and kind of said, look, is there anything that is there for us? We would like this to continue. And so 7 years ago, there wasn't that many, right? Fast forward 7 years, we're saturated. You've got Ladies Who Lunch, you've got Femme Fatale, women in all different women in business brunch clubs, and so many different concepts out there. And it's great because there's so much now for women, but there's a lot of other people doing this, and so I really pride myself in doing things differently. And your question about the difference between the hospitality, what I do for clients, and this is actually what I do is I merge it together in a way. So I offer that hospitality background and the skills that I have to make it a really memorable experience. So I'm all about the experience. So women will walk in, I know you're going to be coming to my next one, so I can't wait for you to experience this. And there'll be cocktails, there'll be canapes, there'll be entertainment, but there's value in the way of there might be a speaker, there might be like for this one coming up, we're going to have a beauty masterclass. So every event is different and unique, but it's very non-starchy. I'm not about sitting around a room. We don't sit around having teas and coffees and cakes. There are those types of events out there as well. We don't have name badges. It's a really relaxed vibe where you're just networking and you're mixing and mingling. You feel like you're in a really great, safe environment. And by the end of it, everyone actually seems to know everyone. And you do make those authentic connections. So I think the difference between organising an event for a client is it's very much more of a showcase about that for that client. Whereas the women in business, it's all about them. It's all about the experience for the guests that are coming to the event, but tying that in with what I can offer from my experience of running these seamless events with the decor, with the beauty of it, and tying all of those things together.
That sounds absolutely wonderful, and I'm very excited to be attending your next event that's upcoming. If there's anyone watching this video that wants to get involved with your event, can you tell us a little bit about the next event you've got on offer and where they can find more information?
Yeah, of course. So we've got an amazing summer party, which is going to be really, really it's going to have such a great atmosphere. So that is at Zook. We've got the Zook Tea Bar, but we've got the whole mezzanine floor upstairs, and it's great for parking. And it's on the 28th of June, 1 o'clock till 4 o'clock. And to be honest with you, it's been such a brilliant response I got to the point where we have sold out of tickets. So what I've had to do is open it up now, and I now am running a reserve list. So I've been able to open up for more tickets. So tickets are available. You can purchase tickets online. And then obviously if there is anything where we are at that capacity, I will let guests know. But at the moment, yeah, you can purchase tickets by going to try booking. So I'm sure you can pop the link somewhere, or let people know.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. So what I'll do is I'll pop a link to that all down below in the comment section so you can find out more information. So your events sound really exciting, and anyone who wants to get involved with this one or upcoming events, I'll post all the links down below in the comment section, and they'll also be available on like LinkedIn and your profiles and my profiles. We'll make sure everyone can find the links where they need to. So with these events then, what's your normal target demographic? Does it, like, who do they cater?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And for my clients for the Under the Edge events, that's actually open to everyone, but it's mainly I would say business owners, um, very much hospitality, people who that own restaurants and bars that are looking for like a launch party. But it has kind of taken a bit of a different form because of the women in business. So a lot of my clients now, for example, I do a lot of like influencer brunches for aesthetics brands or beauty brands, and that's this kind of direction it seems to have gone down, which I'm not surprised because it's what my interests are as well, and I'm all about having a nice balanced lifestyle. So my target demographics for the women in business, I would probably say it really varies, but I'd say kind of obviously mainly women. Although men are welcome, I don't alienate the men out there. We do have some really good connections for business, so it's always good to mix it up a bit, which I feel makes my events quite unique as well, because a lot of women in business, it is just purely women. But yeah, I'd say the target audience is age 30 plus, 25, 30 plus, business owners, usually with a highly disposable income, that are into a balanced lifestyle. So the emphasis is beauty, fitness, lifestyle, nutrition, and well-being. And I always support mind, because that's very much all around, it's kind of close to my heart as well. And yeah, that team seems to work really well.
It sounds like there's a lot that these events kind of entail then. So what kind of things do they offer, such as, like, I know you've mentioned entertainment and other things like guest speakers. Can you tell us a bit, like, if I was to say, okay, I'm going to this event, what would I be in for when I go?
Oh my God, Helen, you're just going to walk away with that unshakable confidence, making new connections, but you're going to go away going, wow, what just happened? There's always an element of surprise at my events. And they're all very different. So if we're talking about for clients, then that's different, because that's something where I offer a completely complimentary discovery call. I get under the skin of what the brand is about, and it's very much about the client and what they want, whether they have a logo on a branded balloon, and everything's branded, and red carpet and videography and photography, and it's all about their mission statement and what they want to achieve from their event. But there would be entertainment, and I'm very much similar. What I offer clients, should I say, I bring to the women in business. So to give you an example of that, the next one is the summer party, and we've teamed up with Armani Beauty. So it's a bit like, I don't know if you must have heard, or if you've ever been to like the Charlotte Tilbury. It's a kind of similar spin with our Armani Beauty. So they're going to be doing a masterclass, and that happened again because they came to my event at the last minute, the last one, which was different again because that was Valentine's. Every event is themed, so it's always around what's happening. So the last one in February was very much around self-love. It was all very like love hearts and very much around that kind of thing. And the speaker that we had for that, Ray Spouse, was very spiritual, very much around you and your inner, how you can thrive as a woman in business. But there's always that similar message across the events, but with different themes. So this one is very much going to be around beauty and skincare. We've got Kiehl's coming again. They support a lot of my events. And, we've got Lindsay Hoffman, who is one of the speakers, and Shaznay Spence, she's a soul coach. And they're both very different personalities. Like, you could not get polar opposite. And I love that because you'll see the different energies with them. Whereas one's very calming and really relaxed. The other one's got this like, boom, like got this like incredible energy, and they're both so different. And Lindsay, for example, is a personal trainer, and she does fitness and nutrition. So this is the direction that I'm going in with my events. It's all about, I guess, women, coming away. And I always make sure that it's the right target audience, because there's nothing worse than going to that's how we met, going to like a networking event and finding you haven't got any common ground. It's not really relevant. The people that you're talking to, it's all about building those authentic connections, being able to swap business with each other, but you're not there to talk about business really. You're there to kind of meet new people. And I think those relationships become quite natural. And especially when you keep going, it's all about consistency is key, as they say. So when you go to one of my events, it's always good to keep following up, because you will see the same faces, and then you can really build on that trust. So it's all about building trust by continually going to the event. But there's always going to be an influx of new guests. It surprises me every time. And I'm like, well, where do these new people come from? But I'm meeting new people all the time. So then you get a new energy with the event. So I guess it's a little bit of everything. You come away, meeting new people. I have a group, so that's online. I have a private messenger group as well, so we can all continue to make those connections. And you're going to enjoy a really lovely afternoon with some entertainment. The drinks will be flowing, the atmosphere, the vibe. Again, like this one, there's a beauty masterclass. The next one I'm doing is going to be very different, and it's something that I haven't quite done before. So that's going to be really exciting as well.
Oh, I can't wait to hear more about that. That does sound so exciting, and I'm really excited for this event as well. I'm just counting down the days at this point, because it seems like there's going to be so much going on, a great chance to network, and Armani Beauty, who can say no to that? That is so exciting as well. So it sounds like you're really passionate about the events and what you do, and that is amazing to see. I feel like everyone should do that about their job or anything. They should have that passion, and that's great. Why are these events so important to you? Like, what is it that makes you feel like, yes, this is what I want to do, and have that passion?
Again, such a great question. It's so, for me, as going back to on the receiving end, when I'm very much into customer care, I'm very much into going to a restaurant, walking into somewhere and someone saying welcome, and feeling that real kind of premium feel. You want to walk in somewhere, you want to feel instantly, to feel special, and to feel like, not everything is just there for you. You walk in and handed a drink, someone takes your coat, you're just there to relax and enjoy it and have the whole experience. And I feel it's really important to me, because if we're talking about, say, for example, let's focus on the women in business, just to give you an example of that. It's a great feeling when women can come together and really support each other, and that's when the magic happens. And I also feel that, rock up on your own, because I find when I go to networking events, when I go with someone, it's a bit like you're thinking of it, you're there and you're safe with each other. You don't really mix and mingle as much. That person is there and you want to think about, what they're doing. So you don't always do as much networking. But I do think it's good to come in a group as well. But yeah, I'm very much about, if you've never been to one of my events and you are thinking about it or sitting on the fence, honestly come, because as soon as you walk in, all you have to do is message me and say, I'm coming on my own. I will make sure you're instantly connected with everyone, and you can come and join us. And by the end of it, you will come away meeting some new people and feeling so full of confidence. And what I take pride in is that everyone gets something different from my events, and I get so much feedback. And it's just nice to get that feedback that, do you know what? This has happened from this. I've now gone on to do this, or I've now made these connections. And if I can help make changes, and I'm kind of responsible in a good way for people from my event that have now gone on to do other things because of coming to my event. It's a really great feeling.
I love to hear that if some people are on their own at networking events and things, that you encourage them and they feel welcomed, because I know that's why I never really wanted to go networking until like I first got started, because I was always going on my own. But then like I've met some of my best friends through networking and amazing people like yourself, so it's worth it. But that initial step can be hard if someone else doesn't want to go, or it's not their scene and there's an event you really want to go to but just don't have the person who has that availability or the drive to go. That's fine. So I think sometimes a lot of people are put off because like, I don't want to go on my own. But that's amazing that that's the attitude you have. And I found that with like so many networking events where if you let them know like, yeah, I'm going on my own, then they're like, yeah, okay, and they take you under the wing. And I think that's the best feeling ever. So it's amazing to hear that that's what happens at your events. And I love how passionate you are and all the reasons why you're doing what you're doing. It's so inspiring to hear that. So I absolutely love that. So on that then, with being passionate about what you do you have a favourite event that you've run or like a favourite type?
So many. Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going to put it out here that the first one that I ever did, the PR party, it was in a restaurant bar in Manchester, King Street. That's always going to hold a real. It's going to be really close to my heart, that one, because to see where I am now, and to see that what I did then is very on par with what I do now. So to think that happened when I didn't have the experience I do now, and it's really great when so basically I always have my headline sponsors who are World Privilege Plus and Elevate, and they run a massive loyalty company with discounts and privileges, and they run a digital magazine now as well, and they've seen my journey from all of those years, and they come to all my events, and every single time they say, Lyn, they just get better and better and stronger. So yeah, I would say that one. I would say on the other side of actual client events, one of my favourites, I have to say, which really stands out for me, well, there's two actually, but one was for a lash brand that we had like an influencer brunch, and that was just amazing. And everyone at the end of it was dancing on the tables. It was crazy, but it was really great fun. It was still when you see the promotional video, looked like a very high end, which it was, a very high end corporate event for the brand. But it was great to see people just unwinding and enjoying themselves as part of that as well. So that was one of my favourites. The second one I did was at the Ivy, and that was for an aesthetics brand. And again, it was an influencer branch. We had one long table, the drinks and food was flowing. There was some great entertainment, and I love those kind of little intimate events. If I'm honest with you, I prefer them than the massive big ones that I've done events for like over 300 guests. I did a massive Africa UK pageant as well, and that was incredible. But it's because when there's a lot more to it, it's very difficult then to relax and enjoy it. Whereas I like these ones where we're all sat round a long table, because I feel like I can then relax a bit more and I can enjoy the event. So yeah.
I think it's nice that you get kind of a mix of both of them, but it's also nice that you're saying you prefer it where you actually get a chance to spend time with people, I suppose, and enjoy the event yourself, because I imagine a lot of work goes into, curating these events and everything.
Yeah, it's mind blowing, even from a small event, doesn't matter what size the event is either. I still put as much into it, whether it's 20 people to 100 and 300 people. And you're right, I don't always enjoy my own events, because I come away and I think, what just happened? And then the guests will say, oh, that was amazing. And I'm there behind the scenes, organising the little glitches, like with the sound and things like that, and the photography, and is the lighting all good? And so I don't always tend to enjoy it. But when that kind of is taken care of, I can sit back and really appreciate the beauty of the event. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine, because you sound, like I said, you're so passionate about what you do, so you'll probably be a bit more on edge when it's a big event. Pardon the pun, edge events, but you'll probably be like a little bit on edge because you're like, okay, I want everything to go just right because you've planned it all so meticulously. But I suppose with a smaller event, it's a bit more, right, okay, and relax a little bit. What's it like then running an event of like such a large scale? Like for the one where you said you had 300 people, what was that like?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's relentless. It's just full on, I think is the word I'm looking for. But I thrive on that. I thrive on it's good pressure. Does that make sense? When you've got that kind of, you're buzzing off it, it's almost like a kind of dopamine fix because you're thriving off the energy that it's bringing as well. And I'll be honest with you, I feel like I've definitely changed over the years in the way that I handle situations. So years ago, it would be very apparent when someone would come into a room, I would be like, oh no, not now, kind of thing. And that you can't show that. You can't show that because the guests are coming there to have a beautiful experience. They don't really want to know what's going on behind the scenes. So that's become quite of an art of being able to stay calm under pressure, and that's a massive, massive thing. To be able to do that is huge because there's so many things that people don't see that go on behind the scenes, and everything has to be thought through. And it when you're doing the event, I call it the sexy stuff, where you've got all the beautiful things happening and it's all elegant, it all comes together, the red carpet, the sax player on the carpet, the flowers, the beauty of it. But no one knows what goes on behind the scenes. You've got to sort out the aircon's not right, the plug sockets, the electrics, one event, this is just a classic example. Just before we were due to start the event, someone decided to bring his bike and park it in the middle of the actual venue. And another time there was some sort of, something was kicking off, and before the event started, and we had to kind of wrap it all up to make sure that everything was just going to be effortless. Things break and things happen, and it's a lot of stuff that you have to deal with because you're dealing with people, and so it's a challenge at times. Yeah.
I feel like we need a whole separate episode on just like all the
No,
shenanigans that have happened.
I'm loving this.
I was gonna say, I was like, a bike in the middle of the venue? Like, where was
I
this
mean,
venue?
yeah.
I need the details. Like, that's incredible. But I was gonna say, I bet you have some absolutely like wonderful tales. Maybe some you can't share, but I bet you have all the
Well,
stories.
yeah, there was one time when I think one of the managers, it was a Turkish restaurant, and the waiter was going to punch him, and I'm like, we're about to start. It's a bit like a show, the show must go on. You don't know what's going on backstage, and that's how I can relate to putting an event on. There's lots of things that no one even knows about that takes place right up until the last minute. And sometimes it could be things like, this isn't the drinks we said we were going to have, or the balloon, I've had it once where it turned up without the logo, and right at the last minute I'm running around trying to find someone to put a logo on 20 minutes before the event. There's so many things that happen that, honestly, if you want to go into events, just make sure you've got a steely way about you, and that you can take a lot of unexpected knocks that happen leading up to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I wouldn't be able to do that just because the sheer amount of control you have to let go to other people and put trust in people that, like a vendor or a supplier for something, and if they don't come through, if
Yeah.
it's someone you haven't used before, I feel like that level of trust for someone that I haven't met or worked with previously, I wouldn't be able to just do that. So I think you're an absolute star for being able to be like, right, delegate and trust these people that they're going to deliver on time.
I mean, yeah, that's a really good point as well, because I've had calls at 3 in the morning, to say, I remember one time saying, message at 3 in the morning saying, sorry, the singer something's happened. So we're there at that 5 in the morning and trying to message, who can we get? We need to get replacement. I mean, these things do happen. And I think what I pride myself on now with these events is I've made it a bit of a non-negotiable that I will only book someone for a client that I've worked with myself. And I really do my best to do that, because then they've got that trust there in that artist, or I call them creatives, anyone within the team that I've worked with before. I know that they are going to be reliable, and you're not going to have all of these unexpected sudden things that go on. Yeah.
Yeah.
With
I think
people.
that's the thing, that when you're working with people, I suppose it is by nature it's unreliable, I suppose, but it's good that you've found ways to mitigate that and at least like be like, yeah, I've got this circle of people I can trust or rely on. And I suppose through networking and being in events, you must have a really strong network of people that you can rely on and give good recommendations for people that you can trust, and then suppliers, which is amazing. My question to you then is, with getting calls at 3 a.m, how do you find a work-life balance?
Mm. That's a really great question, and it's so important for me because I always say a lot of what I do is around being the very best version of yourself, showing up, and being able to be function to do what I especially what I do. It can be really really demanding. So for me, it's all about having a really good life balance. So I do have what I call a few boundaries that I put in, especially at the weekend where actually I'm usually at my most relaxed, to be honest. But because I love what I do, it spills over a lot, like into my weekend. So I've made it a little bit of a balance where, yes, I love what I do, but I need some me time. So I love my running. I'm on a Saturday morning, I do a run club, 9 a.m. And I love that. And that kind of sets me up for the weekend. I love to just chill and to just, you know, I'm not here's me organising parties, but actually I love nothing more. I'm a bit of a kind of what's the word, geek or whatever, but I just love reading a nice book and just putting my chill music on, eating nice food, going out for something to eat. I love anything like that where it's completely chilled and kind of the opposite of what I do, to be honest, like being in the park, being out in nature. And I just think scheduling my days. So I'm in a positive mindset group actually, and one of the things that I've kind of really become, I'm trying to think of the words, I've been able to kind of implement is to have a balanced lifestyle where I can schedule things in. And that includes scheduling in some time for me, and I think it's really important that we do that.
I think that's so valuable because I've only just started doing that recently. But literally, I know it sounds crazy sometimes at first when you like schedule time in for me. It's like, but all my time is my time. But then when you look at it and break it down to like a granular level, it isn't, because for me, I'm working a full-time job, and then after that, I'm editing podcast episodes, I'm posting content, I'm creating content, I'm recording videos. It's all sorts. And then after a while, you realize actually everything's non-stop. And then when you do like to take that time to relax, that is the opposite. Like I said, I think the word is like being a homebody. It's kind of, you like to sit down, get a cup of tea, read a book, and just kind of just relax and completely switch off. You do kind of need to schedule that in, because if you don't, then it doesn't always happen. And I think it's just taking those breaks, but kind of almost forcing yourself to take a break and just say, right, sit down, just nothing,
Yeah.
no to-do list, nothing. And I think that is really difficult, but once you have that balance, everything's miles easier. So much easier.
Oh yeah, and it's interesting you're saying all of this because one thing I do find, if I'm honest with you, is following an event. I've said this before to so many people. I get a real like I come really down and my energy goes really really low, and because I put so much into it that I come away from the event and usually what I want to do is get a few friends together and just totally chill and just have a few drinks. And quite a few times that hasn't happened. I've come back to my own surroundings and I've gone and I've like, well, what do I do now? And you just have to then do something silly like flick through, you know, TikTok and take your mind
Yeah,
off things. And you just
yeah.
have to then do that or watch a film because otherwise you just kind of you start to think about it and it can consume you. So yeah.
Yeah, it's like your brain can't switch off. You're always overthinking. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's a good thing because I think it means you're passionate, you care, and that you're very driven. And that's definitely come across in this interview, by the way. Like, I admire you so much, but I can see why it's hard to switch off, because like I've only ever felt that like a little bit. But if you're running your own business as well, I feel like there's so much that relies on you, but you also need to take those breaks, because otherwise you can't be functioning at like your highest level and be on your, I don't know, your best self, I suppose. So I get it can be difficult. Have you ever considered any other careers? I know it's a bit of a curveball question, but I was just curious, because I know you've been doing this for a while. So I was like, is there anything that you ever considered at the beginning instead?
Definitely, and it's a good question, because it's a lot of soul searching before I really knew what I wanted to do. I never knew when I left school when I was asked, "Well, what do you want to do?" I was like, "Oh, I don't really know." But I did a long time ago, actually. I don't know if you've done these like psychometric test things where where you have to say whether you like that shape or what color you're drawn to or what animal, or if from, and it's a multiple choice question, and it comes out it prints a sheet out with your chosen career choice. And funny enough, what I love about events, it's not so much getting the people in. That, to me, I would love to like delegate that and say, look, can you just get the guests in, because that is sales. So I find that's kind of like selling tickets. Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of thing. What I love is creating the event and seeing it all come together. So if I was to have another different career, one of the career choices I would love would be graphic designer or interior designer, or anything creative, social media content creator, maybe that kind of thing. Also, in my spare time, I write poems. So yeah, I've got a website for that as well. So I mean, yeah, fashion is another, anything creative, I would say.
That's amazing. I think it's great as well that at least like, right, this is the type of thing I want to do. It's got to be creative and that you've narrowed it down. Also, writing poetry in your spare time, that is so cool. I wish I did something that cool. I might have a podcast, I think that's decent, but poems are next level, because that's so much
Like,
creativity that I don't have.
yeah, I mean, I could just sit. I can sit in my own space with a herbal tea and just literally write, and I just feel in my zone when I'm literally doing my own thing. And it's quite the polar opposite, because when I do events, it's very much like you're there with people, and it's just So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much for your time today as well, by the way. I really appreciate it, because it's been
Oh,
such a lovely
pleasure.
conversation. You've inspired me, so I'm sure you've inspired
Yeah.
anyone else that's listening. Is there anything else that you wanted to add before like we wrap up? And is there anything you want to, I don't know, say as we finish?
I just want to say a massive thank you. I've really loved this. My first podcast. I feel like, how have I done? Hopefully, I feel like it's taken me down memory lane. I feel like it's just been a really good way of just expressing everything that I'm doing. And yeah, watch this space. The only thing what we'll leave you with is that after the summer party, I've got something really, really special, and it's going to be very unique. And it's going to be a launch party, and it's going to be in September. So yeah, I can't wait to reveal that. And yeah, and that will be something that's going to be finalised really, really soon. So I'm excited just to see where my next chapter and my next journey goes, to be honest.
I'm excited too, and watch this channel for updates, because once you've got any updates on those events, I'll be posting them, and I'll definitely be attending if I can. But I think it's just been amazing that this has been your first podcast episode, and I hope it's been a good experience and that you've enjoyed it. And it's just amazing that you're here like at the beginning of this podcast and everything. And it's just been so much fun, such a good conversation as well. And like you said, revisiting things in the past and explaining like all about your career and the events you've got now. It's just been such a wonderful conversation, and I feel like I've learned a lot from it. Anyone who's listening has. So yeah, it's just been amazing. But okay, I'm just gonna do the final thank you. So thank you everybody for like listening or watching, depending on which platform you're on. And I think this has been an amazing episode. I'm sure you've enjoyed it. And yeah, we've got more coming soon. So definitely watch this space. But thank you, everyone. And bye.